Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very warm welcome to yet another session of Weekend with Wisdom. And we are very glad to welcome back Professor CSR Prabhuji to deliver another excellent lecture on a less known Upanishad. This time we'll be speaking on Atma Upanishad. Let me first begin with prayer. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambha, Shankaracharya Madhyama, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Atma Upanishad is also one of the 108 Upanishads, which is attested in the Muktika canon. It is an Upanishad which specifically focuses on Atma, on four levels on which the phrase, the notion of Atma could be understood. And Sri Prabhuji will be expounding and giving us a detailed overview of the Upanishad. Just a brief introduction to the professor. Professor Prabhuji is an eminent scientist who held prestigious positions in government and professional bodies. He was Director General of National Informatics Center, Government of India at New Delhi, and he headed the Computer Society of India's Hyderabad chapter and is presently the chairman of ACM Hyderabad Deccan chapter. He has authored 16 books, of which 12 are on cutting edge subjects such as fog computing and big data analytics. He, he has founded and still heads the Vishwa Yoga Vidyapith and has taught yoga globally. He has conducted research both in computer science and Samskrita texts and authored research level books in all the above areas. He has developed a Dharma Yoga as a common framework for all religions and sciences. Once again, a warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for making time for the session. Please go ahead and start.
नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः सर्वोपप्लवरहित प्रज्ञानघन प्रत्यगद्धो सोऽहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि. Friends, the whole central theme of all the Upanishads is the self-realization. Because as long there is no self-realization, there is no moksha. So moksha is possible through jnana, that is the Brahma Jnana or Atma Jnana. And that Atma Jnana, which is convergent with Brahma Jnana, is the only solution for this problem of samsara. So identification with the body and mind and intellect and ego and even sunya, nothingness, leads to the bondage of false identification and false relationships and false attributes and false miseries. So the liberation is from jnana, the liberation from miseries, from rebirth and from various bondings is possible only through Atma Jnana. So in my understanding, all the 108 Upanishads are in one or different ways are addressing the same issue of Atma Jnana. Like even our Shankaracharya's works, hundreds of them, they all aim at the same Brahma Jnana, which is convergent with Atma Jnana. They approach in different ways. Now, there are many ways you can approach this issue. The question of who am I? Ramana Maharshi addressed this issue. Who am I? Nan ya. in a very direct manner. In fact, he was subjected to tremendous humiliating experience in his youth. He was asked to die. So he wanted to die, and he lied down like a dead body and stopped his breath on his own. The young man, so he doesn't know, a young boy, he didn't know anything more than that, how to die. So then he realized that he's not dying, even though he's like a dead body. Then he realized that he's something different from the body itself. So he wanted to find out, who am I? Nanya. So with that quest, he left his house and went to the Arunachalam, Tiruvannamalai mountain caves. And he spent many years in contemplation. 6 years he contemplated. And finally he reached self-realization. I have been to Tiruvannamalai many times. I have also meditated at exactly the same spot where he sits in the cave in this Kandashramam, which is at the top of the mountain, Arunachal, behind Ramana Maharshi's ashram. You have to climb up. So I had sat there and meditated, and I lost my consciousness. It was in a deep state of meditation. I was sitting erect in Padmasana. I still can't explain what it was, because it was some kind of a loss of consciousness. It was Sarvashunyam Nirabhasam Samadhistasya Lakshana. So after I finished that and came down, I went to the temple where one person was sitting and he was talking in general. So he would understand that I had some kind of experience looking at my face. Then he told me one very intriguing sentence. Shiva is not somewhere. This Jiva himself is Shiva. In Tamil it would. Because in Tamil, Ja and Shah are same. Jiva, you can write something which can be read as Jiva, or you can write same word to read as Shiva. So when he said this, I was totally taken aback, because it's not an easy statement. It's not a simple statement. So even great saints, yogis like Vemana or other yogis have stated in many blunt words that this self is Brahman. Ayam Atma Brahman. Tattvamasi. And therefore Aham Brahmasmi. So these are the most profound Mahavakyas, which are stated as declarations in the principal Upanishads. So we meditate upon them. In the Shukrahasya Upanishad, the same Mahavakyas were delivered as an instruction through a mantra diksha process by Lord Shiva to Maharshi Shuka. Now this Atma Upanishad, which is the subject today, delves or addresses this topic even more directly. What is this self? Atma is not an object. Atma simply means I. Who am I? So the question, who am I, is addressed in what is Atma? In fact, in Sanskrit, the word Atma means I. A lot of people think Atma is some kind of an object. It is somewhere. It has to be analyzed and understood. It is not really so. Atman is yourself. I. Atman means myself. So this myself, who am I? That is called Atma Vivechana. It is not an object somewhere about which we can write a large number of books. Like Yoga Vasishtam is 12 volumes. One single text is 12 volumes. It is talking about nothing but Atma. So people write so much about Atma. All the Upanishads are talking about Atma. And all the works of Shankaracharya talk about Atma. Bhagavad Gita also talks about it. To put it in a nutshell, the whole literature is talking about only Atma. Who is this Atma? Who am I? Now, the word Atman in English, in simple English, it is I, but in grammatical or classical English, it is spirit. So, spirit and spirituality. Spirituality is Adhyatma. Something about Atma. So, even other religions, indirectly, without understanding, they're talking about Atma only. They may talk all kinds of things in the process, but the final truth is only Atma. So now in Sanskrit literature, in many texts like Upanishads, we find Atma and Paramatma being equated. That is a very big controversial issue. The Vishishtadvaitis and Dvaitis will not admit that. So they say that the Angi can never be the total. Part can never be the total. Then what is the part? The part is part of the total only. Total is not part, part is not total, but yet total is part and part is total. So it is a very intriguing argument. So, but in many texts in Sanskrit literature, Atma and Paramatma are equate. In fact, in Vaiseshika Darshana, Atman is taken as a substance, dravya, as much a substance as Prithvi, for example. And there is only one Atman, there is only one Prithvi. Though there are multiple instances of Prithvi, or multiple instances of Apa, finally there is only one Prithvi and there is only one Apa, and so also one Atma. Even in Vaiseshika. So he says in the beginning, Vyavasthito Nana. In practical world, Vyavastha, there are multiple Nana, multiple Atmas. But finally in 7th chapter he says this, though there are multiple instances of a Dravya, the Dravya is only one. Like Prithvi, Vayu, Akasha. In many instances they exist. Many contents may change. Many contaminations may vary, like water in Ganga and water in our city lake. They have different contents and contamination, but water is the same. So Atman, though it is having different instances with different contents or contaminations, by its nature, tattva, it has to be only one. So that way, Atman and Paramatman are only one. That is the next step. But first of all, what is Atma? So the Atma Upanishad addresses that question. Who am I? What is Atma? Adharvaniya Atma Upanishad. Bhadram karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यसेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति न कार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति न बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम अधांगिरा त्रिविधा पुरुषो अजायता आत्मा अंतरात्मा परमात्मा चेति अंगिरा ऋषि अंगिरा like we have the pravara Angirasa Bharadwaja Trayarshi. I belong to that pravara. Angiras is the first rishi. He is telling Purushaha Trivedaha. When you take man and matter, or man and nature, this man or Purusha is of three types. Atma, Antar Atma, Parama Atma, three are identified. Atma usually is identified with the body, though it is false identification. Tvak, Charma, Mamsa, Roma, Angushta, Anguli, Prushtha, Vamsha, Sukha, Dukkha, Nakha, Gulfa, Udara, Navi, Medha, Katti, Uru, Kapola. This body is comprised of all these parts. Charma, Mamsa, Tvak, Charma, Mamsa, Roma, Angushta, Anguli, Prushtha, Vamsha, Nakha, Gulfa, Udara, Nabhi, Medha, Kati, Uru, Kapola, Srotra, Bru, Lalata, Bahu, Parshva, Siro, Akshini, Bhavanti, Jayanti. These various organs of this body, the anatomy. Surprisingly, the word anatomy itself means anatmiya, not body, not Atma. Body is not Atma. So the anatomical description of the parts of the body means that it is purely the body and I am not the Atman. Body is not the Atman. Why is he saying that? Because the Atman remains unchanged from birth to death, or even beyond death maybe, or before birth also. But body is changing continuously. It is growing, it's becoming old, it may die. Jayate, Mriyate, Ityesha Atma. Or we can say the Shariratma, Sharirik Atma. Atha Antaratma Nama Prithivyapastejo Vayuragashamicha Dvesha Sukha Kama Moha Vikalpanadi Smrutilingo Datta Udatta Haraswa Dirgha Pluta Skalita Garjita Sputita Mudita Vrutta Gitanadi Pralaya Vijrumbhadi Abhishrota Grata Racheta Neta Bodha Karta Vijnana Atma Purushaha Puranaha. Now, this anatomy is obviously not the ultimate self, but it is used usually as self, as body. Now, what is Antar Atma? That self which is inside this body. So, inside this body, it is able to perceive the Panchabhutas, Prithvi, Apa, Tejo, Vayu, Rakasha, Icha, Dvesha, and it has qualities, gunas. Icha, Dvesha, Sukha, Dukkha, Kama, Moha, Vikalpana, the Smriti, Linga, Udatta, Anudatta, Hrasva, Dirgha, Pluta, all the grammatical and other characteristics of the ability to understand language, express language, Karjita, Sputita, Mudita, and states of mind like happiness, pleasure, Vrutta, Gitana, Ditra, Pralaya, Vijrumbha, Abhisrota, Grata, the one who is listening, hearing, smelling, thinking, the feeler, thinker, enjoyer. Veta, Bodha, Neta, Bodha, the leader and the understander. Somebody is there, some agency is there which is able to do all these things. Karta, the doer. Vijnana Atma, Purushaha, Puranaha, Nyaya Mimamsa, Dharmajastrita, Shravana, Grana, Akarshana, Karma Viseshana, Karoti Esha, Antar Atma. Oh, you're able to perform analysis, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Mimamsa, all possible activities, which are definitely beyond the physical body of comprising of hands, legs, ears, nose, etc. Once again, I'll read what is Antar Atma according to Atma Upanishad. Atha Antar Atma Nama Prithivyapastejo Vayurakasha Icha Dvesha Sukha Dukkha Moha Vikalpanadis Smutilingodatta Anudatta Hrasvadirghapluta Skhalita Garjita Sputika Mudita Vrutta Gita Pralaya Vijrumbhatadi Srotra Srota Grata Raseta Neta Bodha Karta Vijnana Atma Purushaha Purana Nyayami. So that Purusha, the inner agency, which is listening, hearing, smelling, all has those capabilities. An agency which is having all these capabilities and also has the capabilities of performing the analysis of Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa, Dharmashastra, Adi, Pranita, Shastrani iti, all the Shastra Jhainam, Shravana, Grana, Akarshana, Karma Viseshana, Karoti, Esho, Antara. So, Karma Viseshana, Karoti, Vislesh, Viseshana, Karoti, Esha, Antar Atma, and this is Antar Atma. Atha Paramatma Nama. So basically this Jivatma has been explained in this way. And now Paramatma is being explained. Yadha Akshara Upasaniya, that which is indestructible, Akshara. The indestructible, Aksharam Brahma Paramam, in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Brahman has been defined as that which is Akshara and Parama. Aksharam Brahma Paramam Prabhavo Adhyatma. So here the Paramatma is being described as Akshara, that which is indestructible. Such a pranayama pratyahara dharana dhyana samadhi yogan mana atma chintaka vata kanika va syamaka tandulo va. Now that is being the upasaniya, idhya, that which is worth upasana. Obviously we are talking of Paramatma, which is God. Therefore it is worth upasana. Then it is achievable through pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, yoga, anumana, atma, chintana. In addition to yoga, the Vedanta, that which is being reached through yoga abhyasa and through Vedanta jnana. Shamaka Tandulova Valagra Shata Sahasra Vikalpanadhivirva Upsalabhyate, no Upalabhyate, no Jayate, no Mriyate. It is subtler than the subtlest. Anoraniyan, Mahato Mahiyan, it is greater than the greatest. The Shruti is declaring the nature of Paramatma in many ways, which are apparently contradictory. Sarvatah Panipadam Tat Sarvatokshiromukam Sarvatah Srutimalloke Sarvamavrutyatishthati Sarvendriya Gunabhasan Sarvendriya Vivarjitam Asaktam Sarvabhruchaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktrucha Bahirantascha Bhutanam Acharam Charamevacha Bhutavartracha Tajneyam Krasishnu Prabhavishnucha Jyotishamavitat Jyotistamasa Paramachyate Jnanam Jneyam Jnanagamyam Huti Sarvasya Vishtitam. So these kind of statements are there in Bhagavad Gita and similar statements are there in the Upanishads. And obviously this Paramatma, na jayate, it is not born. Therefore, na mriyate, it doesn't die. Na sushyati, it doesn't get weakened or dried up. Na klijyate, not pained, not injured. Na dahyate, not burnable. So we have seen these statements in the avyaktoyam achinchoyam. So these statements are in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter also. Na kampate, doesn't vibrate or shake. Na bhijyate, is indivisible. Therefore, it is something like atom or below atom. If at all there is anything below atom. Na svidyate, nirgunaha. What we did, it has no qualities. It is totally nirguna. Sakshi, but it is Sakshi consciousness, it is witness consciousness. Bhutaha, Sakshi, Bhutaha, Shuddhaha, purest. Niravayava, without any organs. Atma, self, that is the actual self. Kevalaha, Sukshmaha, Nirmamaha, Niranjanaha, Nirvikaraha, Shabdasparsha Rupagandha Varjitaha. It is devoid and beyond all the five sensory objects. Nirvikalpaha, Nirakangshaha, Sarvavyapi. Yच्चकिञ्चित् जगत् सर्वं दृश्यते श्रूयते पिवा अन्तर्बहिश्च तत्सर्वं व्याप्य नारायण स्थितः. So achintyaha cannot be thought about. Anirvanyascha punati ashuddhani putani nishkriyastasya samsaro nasti. So for that Paramatma, there is no samsara. Atma sanyaha shivaha shuddhaha. It is, as I told you in the beginning, this self is God. I am Atma Brahma. He is Shiva. Yoham. Soham. Deho Devalaya Prokto. Jivo Deva Sanatanaha. Tyajed Ajnana Nirmalyam. Soham Bhavena Pujayet. You reject the body consciousness and all its effects, and you assert your true nature, which is Atma. Atma Sanya Shivaha. Kalyana Swarupaha. Shuddhaha, pure. Ekaha, sa ekaha is only one. Advayaha, sada, always it's only one. It has no birth and therefore no death. It's constant. It doesn't vary. Brahma rupadaya, Brahma kevalam pratibhasate. It is kevala. Kevala tattva niranjana shuddha gaganakara nirantara hamsa. Oh, Avadhuta Gita describes the same thing. Brahma rupataya, Brahma kevalam pratibhasate. Jagadrupataya api etad brahmaiva pravibhavate. So, Kevala as Brahman, it remains Brahman, and as universe, because it manifests as universe. Tat srishtva tadevanupramishat. Brahman manifests as universe, therefore universe is also Brahman. The Mahavakya Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma refers to this aspect of Brahman. Jagadrupataya api etad brahmaiva pravibhasate. Vidya vidyadibhedena bhava bhavadibhedatah guru sishyadibhedena brahmaiva pratibhasate. Now we know that Vidya is Jnana, that is Brahma Jnana. But what about Avidya? Avidyayam antare vartamana. So we are all living in Avidya, in Maya. But even that is a manifestation of Brahman only. Vidya vidyadibhedena, two opposites, Vidya and Avidya. Bhava bhavadibhedataha, bhava existence, abhava non-existence. Guru Sishyadi Bhedena, Guru and Sishya are opposite to each other, but as the both containing, like we have the famous sloka, Ishvaro Guru Atmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatsa Vyapta Rupaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. The three divisions of Ishvara, Guru and Sishya, self, are only apparent on the surface, but in depth they are one and the same. Brahmaiva pratibhasate jagadrupatayapi etad brahmaiva pravibhasate vidya vidyadibhedena bhava bhavadibhedatah guru sishyadibhedena brahmaiva pratibhasate brahmaiva kevalam shuddham vidyate tattvadarshane. Brahman alone exists. Na cha vidya, na cha avidya, na jagatcha. na cha param. You can't say it is vidya, you can't say it is avidya. It is both and it transcends both. Sacharacharam, charachara jagat as well. Itti satyatvena jagat bhavam samsarasya pravartakam. The samsara appears to be real. Asatyattvena bhadantu samsarasya nivartanam. When you admit the truthfulness of samsara, Brahman manifests as samsara. When you reject the truthfulness of samsara as maya, non-existence, then Brahman is घटोऽयमिति विज्ञानं नियमः कोऽन्वपेक्षते विना प्रमाण सुष्ठत्वं यस्मिन् सति पदार्थधीः. Now this is ghata, mrit and ghata. We all know all the ghatas or the pots are not really there, though they appear to exist in a relative world. Only mud is there. You cannot see mud separately without some kind of a form, either unsolidified, unmanifested pot is mud. But mud is the main thing. Vina pramanam sushtatvam yasminati padarthari ayamatma nitya siddha pramane sati bhasate na desham napi kalam na vash shuddhim na cha napyapekshate devadatto ahamiti etad vijnanam nirapekshakam tadvad brahmavido asya asya brahmahamiti vedanam. Just like when you say, I am so and so Devadatta, so and so Amukha. So when you say that I am Brahman, you are Brahman. Bhanunena jagat sarvam bhasyate yasyate japa anatmaka asattucham kim matasyava bhasikam vedashastra puranani bhutani sakalanyapi yena ardhavantitam kimnu vijnana taram prakashayet क्षुधाम देहा व्यधा त्यक्त्वा बालः क्रीडति वस्तुनि तथैव विद्वान् रमते निर्ममो निरहं सुखी. Just like a boy, even though who is hungry, he will start playing happily with dolls. A vidwan will not be affected by the sorrows and miseries of this life. Kaman nishkamarupi san vicharatye ekavacho munihi ekacharo munihi. So a muni will move around in this world without wetting and without weeping with what he got. Sadatushtaha, sadanandaha, sadatushta is satisfied always. Api asahayo mahabalaha is not dependent on anything. Is finally swatantrata, freedom. Aserigam sadanantam anantam imam brahmavidam kvachit asarira sada. The bodiless, though he appears to be having body, the Brahmavit, Brahmajnani, moves around with freedom. Priya priyena sprishadaha tasta tadheva subha subhe. He is not affected by the dualities of Priya and Apriya, present and, we have that famous quotation from Shreyascha Prayascha. Shubha and Ashubha. He is not affected by dualities. Tamasa agrant sadbhava agrastopi avirnaj airjanaihi gupta hityuchyate bhrantya yajñatva vastu lakshanam. Sarvadeha. Now, before we go further, let us review what we have done till now. The physical body has been described as basic body consciousness or body level of self. Then the non-physical faculties in the body, the ability to experience, the knower, feeler, thinker, analyzer, that entity has been identified as our Jnana Atma or Antar Atma. That is, and then the third, finally, Paramatma, the Supreme Self, which is all pervading, which is in everyone and in everything. So a jnani who knows this, that he is the Supreme Self and not the body, he will be moving around in this world with freedom. All others who are identifying themselves with one of these levels, the physical body level or the mental or intellectual level, they will be subject to suffering. So Jnanad Mukti, the freedom, Vasanakshaya Manonasha Tattvajnana Vashat Jnana Raksha Tapasiddhi Sarvasamattam Dukha Nivritti. This is the sequence. So Sarvasamatvam, he will be equanimous to dualities. If you are able to be like that, then you will be liberated from dukkha nivritti, shokam tarati atmavit. So now we will continue this Atma Upanishad, where he goes further. Tadvat dehadi bandhebhyo vimuktam brahmavittamam. So brahmavit tama, the best of all brahmavits, is liberated from the bondages of the body. Mukta dehaha Sutisthadi, he is unaffected, he is free, liberated state. That is liberation, moksha. Itastataschalyamano yatkinchit pranavayuna srotasa niyate daru yadha nimno unnatasthalam jaivena nayate deho yadha akalo bhuktishu lakshya lakshagatim tyaktva yastishtet kevalatmana. So he will remain in samadhi state, in deep meditation. Swayam Sakshat, Ayam Brahma, Brahmaviduttamaha, Jivanneva Sada Muktaha, Kritardho Brahmavittamaha. So Brahmavit, the best of the Brahmavits, is Jivan Mukta, Upadhi, Nasha Brahmayeva, San Brahmapyat Nirvayam. Such a Jivan Mukta, Brahmavit, Brahmajnani, moves around while being alive in this manner, unaffected by dualities. He moves around in Jivan Mukta Sthiti, Sthitaprajna Sthiti, with total freedom, and he enjoys the total freedom of Jnana, total freedom produced by Jnana as a Jivan Mukta. And at the end, when the body will die, anyway it has to die, it will die, he will remain as Brahma, Brahmi Bhutaha. Like Sri Shuka himself, though he was physically alive, he was Brahmi Bhutaha, he was one with Brahman. So, of course, when the body dies, he will automatically become Brahm. Brahmavittam upadhinashat, Brahmaiva san, Brahmapeti nirdvayam, Sailusho vesha, Tadbhana bhavayosche yatha puman, Tadhaiva Brahmavit sreshtaha, Sada Brahmaiva naparaha. So, Brahmavit is always Brahman. Brahmavit Brahmaiva bhavati. Nothing else. Ghade nashthe yatha vyoma vyomaiva bhavati swayam. So when the pot gets destroyed naturally, the space inside the pot, when the pot was existing, is also part of the space outside. Even the pot goes away, space remains space. Kshiram kshire yadha kshiptam tailam taile jalam jale. So like water in water. Samyuktam ekatam yati tadha atmanam. Atmani atmani atmavid munihi. So the muni, atmavid, who is having the Atma Jnana, self-realized soul, will merge into Brahman. Anyway, he is already identifying with Brahman. So when the water in a pot, the pot is removed or pot is destroyed, the water in the pot will merge into its original form of water in the water body from which you are taking out the water. So when the pot goes, space remains space. So that's why great yogis and swamis and brahmajanis used to tell, my guru used to tell, you should not weep when death comes, his own death. It is a matter of celebration for him. Samadhi le liya hai. That is how they used to describe and used to tell me and tell other disciples. You should not feel bad about it because they are already in that state. They can kick out this body as a dead weight. Even Ramsharamsa used to say, his body is a dead weight. I am already Brahman. Brahma bhavam prapadyesha yati na vartate punaha. Evam videhe kaivalyam sanmatram akhanditam. So he will be getting into Kaivalya, Kevala Tattva Nirantara Shuddha, Gaganakala Nirantara Hamsa, Punyagare Tishtati Nabho. So he is in Kaivalyam, Sanmatram Akhanditam, indivisible, pure existence. Brahman is already Brahman. Brahma Bhavam Prapadjesha Yati Navartate Punaha. He will not be born again because he is already Brahman. Only those who have desires, those who have body attachments, those who have emotional attachments, those who have bondage, will be born again to fulfill those desires, to fulfill those bondages. Here he has already transcended way beyond all these things. Long back, he is identifying himself with Brahman. Sadatmakatva Vijnana Dagdha Vidyadihar Varshanaha Ayushya Brahma Bhutatva Tad Brahmana Kuta Udbhavaha. How can there be a birth, rebirth for Brahman? You are no more a Jiva, but you are Brahman. So when you are Brahman, Brahmavid, Brahmaya Bhavati, you became Brahman. Sadatma Tattva Vijnana, Sadatma Kattva. Always be established in the self-realization stage. Dagdha Avidyadi, Gharshana, Varshanaha. So the avidya has been burnt away. Ayushya. Amushya Brahma Bhutatma Tad Brahmana Kuta Udbhava. Amush. He is already Brahman. So how can Brahman be born? Kuta Udbhava. Maya Enkrypta Bandha Moksho Nastatra Swatma Vinastutaha. Yadha Rajo Nishkriyanam Sarvabha Vinirgamo Avrutte Sadasattvabhyam Vaktavye Bandha Mokshate. Mokshane Navritir Brahmana Kachit Anyabhava Anavritam Astiti Prachayo Yascha Nastiti Vastuni Buddhere Guno Vete Natu Nityasya Vastunaha. Something exists or something doesn't exist, or the cognitions of the intellect, buddhi, but not for the Brahman. Adhastau Maya Yankutta Bandhamoksho Sadat Nacha Atmani. So for the pure self, the Paramatma, there is no bandhan, there is no moksha. Nishkade, Nishkriye, Shante, Niravajye, Niranjane, all the Neti Neti iti Vakyatha, Nishkriye, Niranjane, Shante, Niravajye, Niranjane. Advit, one without a second, Ekameva, Advitiyam Brahma. Pare, in the transcendent state, Tattve, Vyomavat, Kalpana Kutaha. How can there be imagination in the vacuum of transcendental truth? Na nirodho na chotpatthi na baddho na cha sadhakaha. Na mumukshur na vai muktihi ityesha paramardhata. So paramardha sthiti, paramardham is based in that Iti Upanishad. Bhadram karne visrunayama devaha. Bhadram pasyemakshvirya jatraha. Sthirairangai stushtuvangsasthanubhi. Vyasema devahitam yadayuh. Swasti na indro vruddhasravaah. Swasti na pusha visvavedaah. Swasti nastarksho arishthanemi. Swasti no bruhaspati dadatu. Om Shanti. 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 Hari Om. So I finished my lecture.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Viewers, if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A box. We have 5-10 minutes, and Prabhuji can take up those questions. We will just wait for a few minutes, Prabhuji, for the questions.
Yes.
Prabhuji, in the Muktika canon of 108 Upanishads, where does this Atma Upanishad come in?
Yeah, it is there in the middle. The Atma Upanishad is there in the middle. It is somewhere in the. It is in my list. It is in the. It is 66, 67.
Oh, so is it under the Samanya Upanishad or the?
It is obviously not a principal Upanishad, but it will be under. It is not a Yoga Upanishad either. So it must be in the Samanya Vedanta Upanishads 46. So I'll just check that also. Samanya Vedanta Upanishads, it must be in that.
Okay. Okay. So what would you say, which is the most salient, unique aspect of this Upanishad compared to the some of the Upanishads we have, you have discussed in the last few weekend with wisdom sessions?
Yes, the other Upanishads are having different objectives, like Yoga Upanishads explain the yoga practices, various Yoganga, Anushtana, Paddhati. Whereas the Sannyasa Upanishads, they talk pure Vedanta. And the Samanya Upanishads, Samanya Vedanta Upanishad, there are 24 of them. This is one of them. Atma Upanishad is one of them. The others being Akshi Upanishad, Adhyatma Upanishad, Annapurna Upanishad, Atma Upanishad, Atma Bodha Upanishad, Ekasraya Upanishad, Kausirtaki Brahmana Upanishad, Garbho Upanishad, Niralamba Upanishad, Paingula Upanishad, Pranagnihotra Upanishad, Mantrika Upanishad, Maha Upanishad, Muktika Upanishad, Mudgala Upanishad, Maitra Upanishad, Vajrasucha Upanishad, Shari Upanishad, Shukarhasya Upanishad, which we have done, Sarvasara Upanishad, Savitri Upanishad, Subala Upanishad, Surya Upanishad, Skandha. So these are considered as the Samanya Vedanta Upanishads. So all of them, including this, are addressing the Vedanta Jnana. And what I liked about this Upanishad is it is not mincing any words and not beating around bush. It's just addressing what is the self. The body as a self, or mind and intellect as a self, or the Parama Atma as a self. Only 3 levels he has directly addressed and declared finally that by this knowledge, if you can reach the self knowledge of Paramatma as the self, as the real self, the rest are also selves, that Jeeva Atma selves. So if you can transcend that level and reach, then you are liberated. And how you will be feeling when you are liberated? Freedom. The main symptom of such freedom is not getting influenced by the dualities, extremes in life, heat and cold and pleasure and pain and insult and praise. So we get experience to two extremes always, right? So now summer is setting in, so we feel heat is a big problem. Till the other day, we were finding cold as a very big problem. Till Shivratri. So then similarly, I have experienced in my life two extremes always. One extreme of having nothing and the other extreme of having a lot, too much. Like, food also, you have situations where you don't have food, but then you will have situations where you have too much food. Both are not good. Similarly, in the insult and respect, I have seen on the same day, I get insulted extremely at one point in this city, and another point I get extremely exalted. I will be described as an Maharshi like that on the same day or almost same, with a slight gap of time, same location, in another location. So, two opposites of praise and insults. So, Jivan Mukta, Brahmajnani, Atma Jnani. And of course, the fear of death is always there. The greatest fear, as Avathuta Gita says, Mahadbhaya Paritrana Vipranam Upajayate, Isvaranugrahadeva Pumsam Advaita Vasana. So, with Advaita Jnana, if you can get Brahma Jnana, even for a second intuitively also, then you will not have fear of death. So fear of death is one of the worst things. Everybody, even great scholars are afraid of death. That's what Patanjali also says. So that can be overcome if you reach this level of realization or enlightenment. The whole objective finally is to reach that level of realization or enlightenment. So the final purpose, objective of all Shastras, all Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, is finally moksha only. So how to get that moksha jnana, how to be liberated, how to remain in the state of Jivan Mukta Sthiti, where you are free from all constraints and all conditionings. That is what, we can have a session on what is called the Brahma Ashirvada Paddhati, which is Vidyaranya. What small work is there? So there are assertions. Prajatiya, Vijatiya, Svagata, Bheda, Rahita, Akhanda, Satchidananda, Brahmatmaham is Bhuyat. May I realize this? Nitya Suddha Buddha Mukta Satya Paramananda Advidiya Brahmatman Bhav Siddhi Bhuyat Tadhastu. So there's a Brahma Ashirvachana Paddhati, which Vidyaranya gave in about 1 dozen assertions. So this is the Jnana Yoga Marga, Vedanta Marga. Basically, the Brahmakar Vritti has to arise, and then the assertion of the self to be Brahman. The moment you are Brahman, then what way you are going to be affected by death, or by that, or by pleasure or pain, or heat or cold, or insult or praise. So to reach that Sthita Prajna, Jivan Mukta Sthiti is the objective of all the Adhyatma Vidya, all Shastras in the Adhyatma.
We have just received one question, Prabhuji. After your meditation and consciousness experience in Tiruvannamalai, how did your life change?
Yeah, very good question. So my experience, what it is, cannot be defined because it is total nothingness. I mean, the only thing I can recall is that I was very happy, Ananda state I was there. Even now, I try to recall. I will be just going into the state of nothingness and Ananda. So that's all it is. So I was intrigued what the hell it is. So then it so happened that I went to Pondicherry from Tiruvannamalai. So Aravind Ashram, my close friend and student, Sradhalu Ranade is there. So I went to his house and told him he was born and brought up in the Aravind Ashram under the NP Pandit guidance, and who was NP Pandit was the secretary to the mother of Aravind Ashram. So he asked me, was it cosmic consciousness? I said, the reply I gave was, there was no cosmos. There was nothing. So the cosmos which you talk about in science or in normal parlance, is a product of your senses and your mind. If the mind and senses are not there, there is no cosmos. So, but obviously I was there. So I was in deep state of pleasure, happiness or ananda. It's not pleasure, but it is ananda, Atma Anandam. So I didn't know how to define it or explain it. So later when I came back to Hyderabad, from there I went to Shankaracharya of Pushpagiri Peetham. And I asked him this, I told him this whole thing. And I asked him, what is this? He was there at that time, he was very old. Of course, now he's next in line is the Shankaracharya of Pushpagiri. So they have a ashram mutt in Amirpet in Hyderabad. So I went, and then he told, this is Shunya Avastha. So then he told, Buddha also reached the same thing. That's why he gave a declaration, Sarvam Shunyam Shunyam. So what is ultimate truth is only Shunya. But then he says what Buddha said is not correct, though what he experienced is correct. Because even in Shunya, there is the self. The Shunya for the Buddhi and Manas and of course Indriyas. So Indriya, Mano, Buddhi and even maybe Ahankar all have become Shunya. They are all gone. Sarvam Shunyam Shunyam, that is the fundamental tenet of Buddhist philosophy. So the ultimate truth according to Buddhism is Shunya, nothingness, nihilism. So what the Shankaracharya told me is that in our Sanatana Dharma and Vedanta, Shunya is not the final. Because if you are not there as self, as an intelligent cognitive agency, you would not have come back in the first place. And you would not have experienced or recalled it or explained today about it. So you existed. I have to conclude, infer and detect that though everything was Shunya, everything is gone, but you existed. So you came back. So the self is not Shunya. That's what is told in the Dakshinamurti Stotram also. Deham pranam api indriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu stri balantha jadopamat tvahamiti bhranta bhrisham vadinaha. So those who say I am the body, or those who say I am the life, prana, life force, or those who say I am the senses, or those who say I am the mind, or those who say I am buddhi, intellect, or those who say I am shunya. That also he has mentioned. Shunyam deham pranavapi indriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu. They are ignorant people. Stri balantha jadopamaha. Ahamiti bhranta bhrisham vadinaha. So shunya avastha, shunya sthiti, though it is the ultimate, the self is not shunya, but it is full of chetana. It is consciousness and cognition and abilities. So this is what I have experienced there. This is what it is. So I stop here.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a very excellent session. And we have been continuously gaining from your discourses on this 108 Upanishads from the Muktika canon. Normally, the discourse focuses on the Dashopanishad, the major 10 Upanishads, but it is very refreshing to learn the teachings of these minor Upanishads in the Muktika canon. Thank you very much for taking time for this session. Yes, with this we conclude Speaking with Wisdom. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter for updates about our upcoming programs. Thank you very much. Be good.